You might have some areas in your life that feel like they are very much about growth and expansion, and then other areas that feels like it's very much about just keeping things where they are. And both are completely valid, and both, I think, serve a very real purpose. Welcome to the Mama Circle podcast with me, your host, Natalie K. Martin, but please call me Nat. As mums, we know that motherhood is full of magic, but it also comes with hidden costs that honestly we were just not prepared for. The exhaustion, the mental load, the money squeeze, the way our relationships and sense of self get stretched so thin that they almost break. I call this the motherhood debt, and this podcast is a safe, judgment and shame-free zone where we talk about it all. I'm going to be bringing you personal stories, conversations with other moms, and practical tools to help you feel less alone and more supported as you go along this wild roller coaster ride of motherhood. So whether you're joining me on your 2 a.m. night feed, out and about running errands, or cooking dinner for your family, I want you to know that you are doing big and important work. And in case nobody has told you this today, you've got this. So if you're ready, let's jump in. Hey, my lovely, welcome for another episode. If you're returning, as always, thank you for popping back in. It's so lovely to have you back. And if you're brand new, then hi, it's really lovely to have you here. I'm recording this from my bed this week, not from my car. And literally, as I'm sitting here now, I don't know if you've ever experienced this feeling, but it's like, just you can feel your body just kind of like sinking down. It feels like it's the first moment that I've had to sit down all day. And honestly, if I look back at like the day or the week, I'd be hard pressed to really tell you exactly what I've done, although I have done a lot. It's just that feeling of like things moving in a big blur because there is so much going on that I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water. But what's interesting is this feeling doesn't necessarily feel bad. It doesn't feel like a crisis. It doesn't feel like I'm in any kind of panic. It's just like, I just have a lot going on right now. And that's okay. Because we have these kind of like peaks and valleys in our lives. We have seasons that are, really about growth and expansion. And then we have periods in our lives that are really just about maintenance. They're really just about getting things done, keeping things ticking over. And, you might have a mix of things. You might have some areas in your life that feel like they are very much about growth and expansion, and then other areas that feels like it's very much about just keeping things where they are. And both are completely valid, and both, I think, serve a very real purpose. And I am very much in a maintenance season right now. And I wanted to share this episode in case any of you are as well, but also, I guess, just to kind of give a little bit of recognition to this, because I think the world that we live in really values us kind of always being in forward motion, and it doesn't necessarily value the times when we're just holding steady. And I feel like a lot of motherhood so far, yes, there's been a lot of like, big development and things, but a lot of it can feel like that kind of survival mode and just kind of like putting one foot in front of the other. So I wanted to really give some space to that in today's episode. So, my life right now does not look particularly spacious, and that is okay. It's okay because it feels very grounded. And I think that's the difference between that kind of like growth energy and that maintenance energy, right? Like growth energy is really about expanding outwards and looking forwards to the future. And, where am I going to live this time next year? What am I going to be doing in my career in 5 years? Whatever area of life you're looking in. Maintenance is really about, okay, feet on the ground. What needs to be done today? What needs to be done this week? For me personally, right now, I don't want to get away with the fairies. I feel very much like that does not feel supportive. It's so interesting because I'm kind of like half in, half out with astrology, right? But I'm a Taurus. So, and there are very many traits around me that are very, very Taurian, very stubborn, for sure. And I can be incredibly grounded and just very immovable sometimes. But I also have a lot about my personality that loves upward motion, that loves momentum, that loves a little bit of spontaneity, a little bit of the unknown. And I feel like I've spent a big chunk of my life, probably this last 10 years, doing that. The time that I've been in Germany, it's been very much like an adventure and just lots of constant movement and lots of unknowns, and it's been an adventure for sure. But now, where I am in this phase of life, in this phase of motherhood, coming out of separation, I feel like I don't want that kind of momentum right now. That kind of momentum just feels really kind of like unstable and quite, like, oof, I need to have my feet on the floor. And it's so interesting. I was sharing in It's a Lot, which is my WhatsApp group for mums, where we come and we share what's alive for us every week. Some weeks there's a prompt, other weeks there's no prompt. And it's really just about just sharing where we are in a place and in a way that doesn't feel like it's open to judgment. There's no judgment, there's no advice. We literally just come and share and hold space for each other. And one of the prompts, I think it was last week, was like, what rituals or support or systems do you feel would really support you right now? And I feel like right now, I just need to have my feet very, very firmly on the ground. So this is also how I know that I'm really in a true maintenance season. So for me, my maintenance season right now, the things that I'm doing just to keep my plates spinning, hopefully without any of them toppling over. When I can, I wake up at 5 in the morning. And I'm saying when I can, because I have had periods where I've kind of really forced myself to get up at 5. But what I'm noticing is that it doesn't work. So, if I get to sleep on time, or if I just have had enough sleep and I feel quite rested, then I have my alarm on at 5 and I will get up at 5 and I'll go and do a little bit of work before Jackson wakes up. If, however, I stayed up late scrolling, because we do that, or I just haven't had a good night's sleep, Jackson hasn't had a good night's sleep, or I'm just like, I just don't want to, then I don't. I just put my alarm on again for 6 and sleep an extra hour. So, for me right now, the way that I'm keeping my plate spinning is, yes, taking advantage of having an extra hour in the day, but also not doing it at the detriment of my health. Meal planning, that's something I've been kind of doing on and off for a while. I am also now batch cooking in a way that is a little bit more like meal prep, I guess you could say. I think I've shared, I can't remember the episode, but I shared like things that I'm doing around my financial journey, and batch cooking and meal planning have been a really big part of that. But now that I'm in a situation where our childcare split leans very heavily towards me now. So I don't want to spend time in the kitchen every day cooking. I want to spend that time like with my son. So I'm now trying out meal prep, where I'm trying to cook all the meals from Monday to Friday at the weekend. We're going to see how it goes, because it feels like it could just, if I can get the hang of it, it feels like it would really be very supportive for me. And I've been really inspired by my sister about this. She does the most amazing meal prep every single week. She does not mess about. She makes her meals for lunch and dinner on a Sunday. She shares wonderful reels of it, and it all just looks amazing. You can check her out on Instagram. It's SIMXO. So, and the thing is that, also doing that means that I'm not having to decide every day what to cook, because it's already done and it's already cooked. And I think where I failed before with my meal plan was I would have very good intentions, but then it'd get to like Wednesday and I'd be like, oh, I didn't, I had more leftovers or less leftovers than I thought, and things would just kind of get like out of sync. So I'm hoping that this is a good way to just reduce my decision making needs, because my brain is not that on fire right now. Something else that I've done, I have worn extensions in my hair now for about 10 years, really just out of ease more than anything else. My hair is actually quite long. It would have been longer by now, except that I used to wear my extensions like shoulder length, so I would have to cut my own hair to keep my extensions. It's so weird. But having afro hair costs a lot of time to care for it, and I just got used to having extensions and then having a baby and everything else, and I decided that actually I wanted to wear my natural hair, and I've been wearing it natural for like 2 or 3 weeks now. And what I'm doing differently this time to when I've worn my natural hair in the past is that I'm wearing my hair in a style that lasts for days at a time. I wash my hair once a week because that is like the best rhythm for me and for my hair. And so what I've been doing is literally like washing my hair, putting it in a style, and then wearing that for probably about 3 or 4 days, and then taking it out, doing a little refresh and wearing that for the rest of the time. And that's been really helpful. Again, I don't have to decide what to do every day, and I also don't have to spend a lot of time in my hair, which is just, the mornings, I don't have time for that. Maintenance for me also right now looks like hacking away at forms for a really long time. I've finally this week sent Jackson's application for his British passport off. This has been around my periphery for about a year now. No, I tell a lie, 1.5 years. Yeah. I was supposed to do it in England when we were there summer before last. Yeah, 1.5 years it's taken me to do that. Can you believe it? And the only reason why I've finally done it is because the UK have changed their rules for dual citizens. So dual citizens have to travel in on their UK passport now. And up until now, he's only had his German one. So finally, 1.5 years later, that is done. And it is hopefully by now with not HMRC, the other people, the passport office. But honestly, that has taken ages. And there are other forms that are taking just about as long, especially the kind of like government official ones, because A, they're in German, so it always just takes a bit longer. But B, I just don't have time. I don't have clear windows of time to sit down and really think about it. That's not true. I do have time, but it costs so much mental energy that I prioritize doing other things like recording my podcast first. It's way more fun too. So for me, like, it's not just sitting down and like, oh, I'm going to get through it today. It's literally like opening the form, filling in a bit and leaving it and then coming back to it. Likewise, letting my non-urgent emails explode. Oh dear. I used to be a zero inbox kind of girly. Not anymore. I was listening to a podcast the other day. It's called Not As We Planned. It's an amazing podcast. I really love it. And the one co-host was kind of like poking fun at the other because she had 22,000 unread emails. That just gives me so much anxiety. But I can understand the feeling of like, we'll just leave the things that we know we need to get to, but we don't have time to get to, or that I want to read at leisure, newsletters and things like that. It means that by the time I read the newsletter, it's like a year out of date, but whatever, doesn't matter. That's how I'm keeping things ticking over. I'm literally scanning my email inbox. That's urgent, that is not, and letting everything that just is not urgent just take its time. Likewise on WhatsApp, I am so much slower on WhatsApp now. It is insane. I'm so sorry if you're listening to this and I'm supposed to get back to you at some point. It could take like 30 working days, but I will get around to it, especially if it's something that I want to really give my time and attention to. I don't have very long in the day where I am by myself. My commute is like 10 minutes in the car, and then I'm with my child apart from when he's napping. So, it's really difficult to just actually find alone time where I've got the brain space and the capacity to listen and hold space. So I'm sorry, friends, I love you, but it's taking a little bit longer than normal to get back to you. And other ways that I'm just keeping things kind of ticking over right now. I'm trying to set appointments around nap times. Jay has a pretty steady nap rhythm. So if I can, I will very much try to have my appointments in his nap time, because then I can take him with and he can sleep in his pram. And then when I'm not having appointments, I try, if I need to actually nap with him. And he really enjoys this as well, because we'll usually sleep on the sofa, and I'll put on, like, there's a guy who does some really nice crystal sound baths on YouTube. What's his name? Healing Vibrations, I think it is. He's got so many, and they're visually stunning, and he's got some really nice sleep ones. And we'll just kind of cuddle up on the sofa and put the fire on and like have a nap, and he'll ask for the music. Jackson will ask for the music as well. And sometimes that's really helpful, especially if I've had a long day, or I haven't slept very well the night before, or I've gotten up at 5 a.m. It's nice just to have that pause in the middle of the day. But other times when I'm feeling quite fit and quite okay, I'll use the time while he's sleeping to get on with some admin and some, replying to letters and things like that I need to get done. And also asking for support, taking offers of help when they're offered, but also just asking, like, hey, do you have time? Can you help me out with X, Y, or Z? I had a car situation not too long ago where I needed to buy a new car and also sell my old car. And I don't know anything about buying cars. I don't know anything about selling cars either. So I have a male friend who lives here in the village, and I just messaged and I was like, hey, like, can you help me out if you've got time? Before, I wouldn't have done that. I would have just tried to muddle through it by myself. But it's a way of just, I guess, reducing the mental load and keeping enough of my brain kind of like spare and active so that I can keep everything ticking over. Right now, for me, in this season of life where it really is just about holding all these different things and keeping them running, it's really about rhythm and routine. And that is more important to me right now than spontaneity. So, yes, it's nice sometimes to just say, okay, let's go swimming, or okay, let's go in for a coffee, or, whatever the thing might be. But actually right now it's incredibly stabilising for me to know that on this day this happens, on that day that happens. I've already taken care of this and I've already taken care of that. It's a real structure. And what's interesting is that I really like it. And I think this is the first time in my life where I've really enjoyed this kind of structure. Before, I've always felt like, no, I kind of want to be, quite flexible and just decide on the day and all the rest of it. And now it's like, no, I need this structure and I like it. I feel like it's serious. I feel like I'm taking myself seriously. And that is a really nice feeling. It's definitely something that has been massively amplified by separating, because I am like, it's on me, like I am not solely responsible, but I am mostly responsible for Jackson's life and, my life and our life. And I like that seriousness. It feels like the right kind of challenge. What's really interesting is that, as I said in the beginning, like, I've had days like today and I've had weeks like this week. And of course, it gets stressful every now and again, and I can feel really under pressure and overwhelmed with what's happening. But when that happens, it's usually not coming from the situation. It comes from a feeling of like needing to advance. So this podcast is, I love it. It feels like it's such a lifeline for me, but it is extraordinarily rudimentary. I record on my voice notes. If you've been around here for a while, you know that I record in my car when I've got the spare moment to do so. It's so bare bones. But of course, I have a dream for where I want this podcast to go. I have a dream for where I want the Mama Circle as a brand to go. And so that means growth, and it means visibility, and it means scaling, and then it means monetizing. And that honestly is really exhausting. And when I start to feel overwhelmed with things, it's usually because I'm trying to make things go faster. It's usually because I'm trying to think about, okay, how can I grow my podcast? How can I reach more people? How can I grow my Instagram? And actually, when I think about the last 10 years, coming to Germany has been like constant reinvention, from being a backpacking author to being a non-backpacking author to not writing anymore, just getting into yoga, to doing my yoga teach trainings, to then having a yoga career, to then menstrual cycle awareness and this and this and this. And it's been a constant like reinvention. I've spent years moving in a new direction every like couple of years, and then finding a new identity every couple of years, and then finding new energy every couple of years. And even though it's all been me, and they're all like very real and authentic parts of my personality, and they're all very real and authentic passions, it's a lot. And so standing still has felt really like unfamiliar to me. But what's really interesting is that like right now, it does not feel like stagnation. It feels like it's just integration and consolidation. And when I feel like I'm starting to feel stressed or like under pressure, I look at where that's coming from, and it's from like this feeling of I should be moving forwards. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And don't get me wrong, there are things that need to be done in life in the future. But a lot of the things that create pressure are things that I am doing myself. And so I guess it's a bit of a reframe around the idea of success and failure. Because as I said in the beginning, like these seasons of maintenance, they serve a really real purpose, and I can see that, and I can feel it in my bones. And the Natalie from a few years ago might have looked at where I'm at now and be like, how can you not be moving? This is such a waste. Like you're wasting your time. You're not being successful enough or whatever. And actually it's like, no. Like this is where the lessons are being learned right now. Maintenance season, I think, or maintenance seasons in life, from what I'm seeing and what I've been experiencing over the last 6-7 months, is that it's about like shedding a lot of like crap basically, and stripping away things that are unnecessary, and honing your focus, honing your discernment skills, and being in the discomfort of not constantly moving forward. Maintenance is not failure. It's just maintenance. In fact, you could probably say it's the opposite of failure. If you think about, you maintain your car, you take it for a service, you do like salt treatments in winter so that it doesn't get rusty underneath. Like these are things that prevent failure. And that's kind of for me what it feels like this kind of maintenance season is. And maybe for you, if you're in this kind of phase of life right now, is understanding that maintenance season is about protecting your energy. It's understanding what your capacity is and then protecting what you have so that you don't burn out. It's about protecting your finances, your nervous system, your relationships. Maybe you are spreading yourself too thin right now and you don't have the time to really invest in the relationships the way that you would like. It's about your child or your children as well, like keeping things in a manageable state for where you are right now. For me, as I said, if I add too much onto what's happening, if I add too many plates in, I can feel where it starts to tip into stress. So I'm not adding. And if I am adding, I'm adding in little spurts. It's less, how can I expand this thing over the next 3 months? It's like, no. How can I expand this thing this week? Right? It's a way of stabilizing as opposed to destabilizing. And that feels really, really grown up. Yeah. So, if you're feeling like life feels kind of, just full and not very spacious, not necessarily chaotic. It might not necessarily have to feel chaotic, but it just feels like it's very much about the grind and just putting one foot in front of the other and not feeling like you're really like moving upwards with this momentum. There's nothing wrong with you. You might just be in a maintenance season, and maintenance is really what allows for growth later and stops things from failing. So I hope that that's been helpful for you if you've resonated with that. And thank you so much for being here with me. I always love this little space with you guys. Please hit follow if you haven't already, and please consider leaving a review. It literally takes about 10 seconds and it helps me so much. Because as much as I am in a maintenance season right now, as I said, I've got big dreams for this podcast. And one of those things requires it to be seen by more people. So if you can give it some stars, share it on your stories, I would be super, super grateful. Okay, I can hear my little one crying on the monitor. So back to mama duty. I'll see you back here for the next episode.